Hey guys, the first video you saw of this thing was just the construction and buildup of the stock kit. Now, since then, I've decided what I'm going to do, and I've got the direction that I'm going to go from there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this thing very low. Like, I'm going to lower it from a stock ride height, putting the lower links about level at normal ride height. And then from there, I'm going to modify the suspension and the chassis to allow for those axles to be able to come further up, so that I can get the maximum amount of suspension travel still, but by maintaining that low ride height. Now, you can do that sometimes by running a droop suspension, but droop suspension does not perform well if you're doing an all-around truck. It's okay for just crawling. Other than that, I don't suggest droop at all. Also, you can see here I've cut the front of the body. I've cut it way up there, all the way up to the top of the hood. So that's going to be my fender lines. But also what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a wider front end. I'm going to use the Burley tubes from rcbros.com to widen this thing out to the width of the Axial XR10. Now what that'll allow me to do is I can use the C-hubs and knuckles that are used on the Wraith and XR, and then you can use the universal axle shafts that were made for the XR10. This gives you a ton of steering with very low scrub steer. Now that stock SCX10 axles have a lot of scrub steer, and that isn't exactly ideal. Now it will give me, like I said, a wider stance, but it will improve steering drastically. I've just got the body setting on here. It's actually going to set about a 1/4 inch lower in the front, and then the rear is going to sit about in the stock position. The body itself is going to sit in about the stock position. It can't go much lower due to that grille and the location of the spur gear cover and everything with the interior. Now get into the suspension. What you'll see on here at this point is just I've got these scabbed on little brackets to raise the shocks up. Now I'm not going to actually use those. Those were just me trying to figure out the height of where I wanted those shock mounts to be. So it's about 3/4 of an inch higher than the actual mounting points of these things on the stock chassis. So what that allows me to do is that allows me to really get this suspension to come way down on top of these axle but however, even at this point I still have about a 1/2 inch of travel left in my shock shaft, so I want more. What I'm going to do is going to C-notch the chassis. This is something that's been done on like lowrider trucks, but it's also been done on a recent build from Poison Spider called Crispy, which was a JK actually as well. So that's kind of the way that I'm headed with this thing. So to accomplish that, what I'm going to do is going to create a paper template to show where my clearances are. The things that I need to pay attention to are the steering equipment up front, as well as the axle itself, and then the link mounts in the rear. Now once I get that done, I will likely have to do some adjustment back in the further back towards the skid plate to make sure that those lower links clear the chassis rails as well. So that's going to be the goal for the front end, and I'm hoping to get a little bit of work done on that tonight. So I'm going to jump right in and try and get some of this accomplished. Here's a little shop tip for any of you guys that are wanting to fabricate stuff. Keep a lot of like your little cardboard boxes and things like that. They can come with random things. This was actually off of a box of light bulbs, but it's a nice a thin cardboard, but it's kind of rigid, and it's not the corrugated cardboard, and it makes really good templates that you can bend and form to make fabrication a lot easier. Alright guys, so I already made my template here. This is the template I showed making for the clearances on the actual frame. Now what I've done is I've taken some 1/2 inch square steel tube and cut it into the angles that I want to create the C-notch for the front. Now I'm using square steel tube because I'm going to weld that together, and then I'll rip it down the middle to give me the 2 C channels. This will just allow me to make sure that both are exactly the same for each side. So just a quick and easy way. This is how we used to make chassis rails back before chassis like the SCX10 were available. So I'm going to TIG these 2 pieces together, and then I'll add the 3rd piece on, TIG it, and do a full weld around it, and get ready to cut it down the middle to make the 2 C channels. Alright, so after I welded those things up, I took them and cut them in half with the 4-inch grinder and the bandsaw, and that went from the one piece to the 2 pieces of that C-channel that more closely resembles the stock SCX10 frame. So these are the pieces that I'm going to start with to modify this chassis to give me that maximum amount of up travel. This is what the C-notch piece will be, and I'm going to add it to the frame in this area. Now that will allow me to remain using the stock front bumper mounts, all that, and then it will allow me to clear all of the steering, most importantly, and axle. I need to make sure that I have enough room for those steering components. And I will be using a more like a wraith knuckle here. And these actually have a little bit shorter distance between the kingpin and the steering arm, so it's a little bit more conservative than what I actually have here. Basing it off of what I have shown here will allow me to make sure things clear when I go to these wraith style knuckles. So I'm going to take and lay these on the side of the frame rails, and then I'm going to cut the webbing or the C-channel part out of the back side of this to make sure that it lays over top of the frame. Once I have that done, I'm actually going to weld them to the frame before cutting the frame. That will allow me to make sure that everything is where it should be, and I don't have to worry about the front end moving or things, anything like that changing. So that's my plan for now. Alright guys, I got the front C-channels all welded in tonight. That's as far as I'm going to get for tonight though. Right now, the axle it's got more room to come up. However, where I'm running into issues with clearance now is on the upper links. The upper links are hitting the inside of the frame rails right in this area. And I've actually clearanced the frame rail a little bit in there already. You can kind of just barely see that notch. But that actually, just that little notch there improved the flex, or the ability for the axle to come up probably 1/8 of an inch. So the more I shave, the more I'll be able to move the axle up as I go. At this point, my tire is starting to come in contact with the bumper, but all that should be fixed once those new Burley tubes from RC Bros show up. So once I get those installed, I'll be able to hammer out all the steering little things here and there. So really looking forward to that upgrade to finish up, seeing how everything will fit. Right now, I'm pretty happy with the overall amount of suspension travel I'm going to get. I hope to increase what I have here by probably another 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch. So we're gonna see how it goes. But that's the intro to this project, and you'll get the idea of where I'm going with it. Once I get more and more into this thing, right now I've just got these frame rails open. Once I've got everything finalized, I'll come in and I'll plate the back side of all this, box it in real nice, where I've taken material away from the frame and things like that. I just want to make sure that it's as strong as it can be, and then I'll probably add some braces in across. Of course, I still have shock hoops to go, and I'll have some bracing on there and things like that. So there's still a lot to go on this chassis, but this just gives you the first feel for what I'm going to do, and go from there. Beyond that, I'm going to be doing a lot of other upgrades to this truck that will pertain to any other SCX10 out there. So if you've got an SCX10 and you're looking to just do some upgrades, I'll still be doing some stuff that pertains to that, even though this project will have some custom touches, such as this chassis modification and things like that. So you know, watch for the future and see what we got going on. But I think this thing is going to be a fun little truck with a pretty wicked stance when it's all done. So really looking forward to what we'll be able to do with this thing at some high-speed jumps and things like that. So subscribe, like, and share, all that good stuff, and we will see you guys later.